We've all got this idea of what smart is, right? It's usually about getting a good score on a test. But what if I told you that's, well, completely wrong? Today, we are going to totally redefine what it means to be intelligent. And honestly, you might just find out you're way more of a genius than you ever thought.
So, let's just jump right in. I want you to ask yourself a question. What does it actually mean to be smart? No, seriously, think about it for a sec. What's the very first image or idea that pops into your head? Okay, so maybe you thought of someone who can memorize entire books, or get straight A's without even trying. Well, it turns out that most of our common ideas about being smart, they're pretty much a myth. And trust me, the real story is way more interesting.
Because really, the true definition, it's all about action. Real intelligence is about how you use your mind to handle the messy, unpredictable stuff that life throws at you every single day.
All right, so let's get into it. First up, we're going to look beyond the IQ test and see why those high scores, well, they just aren't the whole story.
For years and years, the thinking was super simple. If you had a high IQ, you were an intelligent person. End of story. It was this perfect, tidy label that just sorted everyone into nice, neat little boxes. But life is never that neat, is it?
I mean, think about it. We've all met that person, right? The one who's a total genius on paper, can ace any exam, but then really struggles with their emotions. Or they just can't seem to communicate well with others. Or maybe they just make one bad life choice after another. That, right there, is the paradox of a high IQ.
So, what's the takeaway here? It's simple. If one single number can't possibly capture what it means to truly thrive in the world, then we obviously need a much better definition. It's time to think bigger. And that leads us perfectly into our next part, the many kinds of smart. Now we're going to uncover the whole spectrum of what intelligence can be. Okay, so the big idea here is a total mindset shift. Intelligence isn't just this one thing that you either have or you don't. A much better way to think about it is like a toolkit, One that's filled with all sorts of different tools, different abilities that you can pull out and use. So, what kind of tools are in this kit? Well, you've got the ones we all know, like logical intelligence for problem solving and math, and verbal smarts for communication. But then there's emotional intelligence, EQ, which is all about understanding emotions and having empathy. There's also social intelligence for leadership and teamwork. And we can't forget creative intelligence for dreaming up amazing new ideas, and practical intelligence, good old street smarts, for just handling real-life situations. And what's so great, so empowering about this way of looking at it is that it means everyone has different strengths. It's totally okay. You might be an absolute creative genius but struggle with math. Or maybe you're a fantastic social leader but public speaking makes you nervous. That doesn't mean you're not smart. It just means your intelligence is shaped differently. Okay, so this all sounds great in theory, right? But what does it actually look like in the real world? Well, that's what we're diving into next, intelligence in action. I want you to imagine a student. They don't have the top grades, not by a long shot. But when a group project totally hits a roadblock, they're the one who comes up with this amazing, out-of-the-box solution. They're the one who can just sense the tension in the team and knows exactly how to fix it. And when the professor changes all the rules last minute, they adapt in a heartbeat. That right there, that ability to be adaptable, creative, and empathetic when it really counts, that is true intelligence in action. It's not about what you know, it's about what you do with what you know. And this really highlights a super important difference. See, knowledge is just stuff you know. It's information. It's the facts you can look up on your phone in 2 seconds. Intelligence, on the other hand, is a skill. It's how you use that knowledge to make smart decisions and come up with creative solutions.
Which brings up a huge, massive question. One people have been asking for, well, forever. Is our intelligence fixed from birth? Are we just stuck with the hand we're dealt, or is it possible to change?
And the answer is a big, loud, absolutely not. The best way to think about it is this. Your intelligence is like a muscle. And just like any muscle, the more you use it, the more you challenge it, the stronger it's going to get.
So how do you work out this muscle? Well, first, just stay curious. Ask questions about everything. Second, see your mistakes not as failures but as lessons. Third, when you read, really try to reflect on it. Don't just race to the end. Fourth, work on your emotional control. And finally, and this one's huge, get out there and try to solve some real-world problems.
All right, for our last section, let's bring this whole conversation right into today. Let's talk about human versus machine intelligence. With AI popping up everywhere, what is it that actually makes us different?
I mean, there's a good reason we call it artificial intelligence, right? These systems can learn from unbelievable amounts of data, they can see patterns we could never spot, and they make predictions that are scarily accurate, and they're constantly improving. It is, without a doubt, an incredibly powerful form of intelligence.
But, and this is a big but, here's where we're different. AI runs on pure logic and data. It doesn't have feelings, it doesn't have a conscience or a moral compass. Human intelligence, well, we're the whole package. We've got the logic, sure, but we also have emotion, creativity, and a sense of what's right and wrong. We are the complete spectrum of thought and feeling. And that really brings us to the core message here. True intelligence isn't about how much stuff you have crammed in your head. It's about how wisely you think, feel, and act. It's about using every part of what makes you human. So the question to leave you with isn't how smart are you, it's how are you going to use your smarts today.